about to start back up.
Yes, I have to go.
That's an appropriate reaction.
It's my first year in college. I have to go buy books
And
within the next week.
That is never fun.
I have to get my parking pass, cry a little bit, but yeah, start the routine all over again.
You know, I feel like people really underestimate how much actually goes into going to college. You know,
It's a lot.
It's a lot. It's really a lot. So tonight, I think we're going to do a fun little topic talking about education, and
Okay.
but not really about the way that you kind of expect us to talk about education, because you know, we've talked about it before.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, one thing that really kind of cripples a lot of students that, you know, come out of graduation, you know, okay, happy time, we're graduated, we got our degree, and you're going out into the world. Student debt. Student debt is not fun. Nobody likes student debt.
I'm going to a community college by my house that was not my first choice, just because I don't get student debt.
And a lot of that happens to a lot of people, and
Yeah.
I think a lot of people don't realize that. You know, nobody gets to, you know, walk into you know, Harvard
Yeah.
and you know, drop like $1 million or whatever.
Yale.
You know, Yale.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Even like App State is like 16 grand a year.
Right.
So it's like a lot.
But I mean, even community college, yeah, it's a great entry point, and there's no problem with community college, because, you know, I technically went to community college as well before I went to UNCG. But you know, it costs money, and that's what matters.
Yes, it does. It's a lot of money.
So I have some not so fun facts, as I like to call them, about student debt.
Okay.
And I got these from Student Debt Relief, so they have a lot of the numbers about talking about student debt. The total number of borrowers is 45 million.
Really?
Yes, 45 million have borrowed money.
That's a lot.
That's a lot. That's a lot of people. The total remaining student loan debt is 1.52. Wait for it. Trillion. That's a big number. That's a big number. And the amount borrowed each year is 106.5 billion. And I mean, you can see this is adding up pretty quick. That's pretty. It's a pretty big number.
Oh yeah.
The percentage of college graduates with debt is about 60%. So, you know, not every college graduate has debt.
Do you have debt?
I do not, actually. I
Okay,
do not.
nice,
I got lucky. I had
nice.
scholarships and
Nice.
everything was paid for. But, you know, that definitely doesn't happen for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And the average debt per graduate is about $37,000.
Yikes! That's a lot of
Yeah.
money. That's like.
I know. I feel like I'm setting you up for disaster, considering the fact that you're sitting here talking about to go to college. I'm sorry.
Dude, it's okay. It's okay.
I mean, it's something you really got to think about, and that's. I mean, it sucks, but
I'm just gonna sell my kidney, man. It's okay.
I mean, you know, I've known so many students, so many people that I went to school with. You know, they go in what is it, donating plasma?
Mhm.
Is that what they do?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because they'll pay you for it, and they give you like $50 every time you donate your plasma, but you can only do it like every 2 weeks. But they would go like, it was like, oh yep, it's plasma donating day. Let me go get my $50 bill.
Wait,
And I was
that's
just like,
awesome.
Whoa.
Wait, I might do that.
Well,
That
yeah.
sounds awesome.
I mean,
have you ever donated
I
plasma?
have not, but it's like
You wanna
donating.
go? You want to go donate plasma?
No, I don't, because it's like donating blood, but it's with a thicker needle. And I'm not about that life. I'm not about that.
Never mind. Never
Yeah,
mind.
no, that's. I would say that would probably be a last resort if you want to do that, but no,
Yikes.
no.
Yikes. Okay.
But okay, so to end off these little statistics for you, the average debt per borrower goes up about $2,000 per year. You know, looking at you know, the average debt per graduate right now is about $37,000. You know, last year that was about $35,000. Before that, you know,
33, yeah.
take away $2,000, and you can see how that average debt is going up.
Because college is getting more expensive.
Right, right. And so, you know, you're sitting there thinking, now that I've got this in your mind, now that you're about to go to college, you're like, wow, how am I going to pay for all this?
I don't know.
Well,
I
guess
don't
what?
know.
I've got a great solution for you.
Oh, really?
I've got a great solution for you.
Okay.
Well, what you can do is there's this TV show called Paid Off that just premiered on True TV,
Okay.
where contestants answer trivia questions to have their student debt paid off.
So it's a game show now.
It is a game show. It is a game show about eliminating
debt.
student debt.
About crippling financial issues.
Yeah,
They're like,
it's,
guess what? Game show.
You know what would be a good idea?
Game
Let's
show.
get these poor guys.
Let's make
on
them
here.
fight for it. Let's make
Yeah.
them fight to not be in debt anymore.
Right. And, you know, I'm not going to lie. When I heard about this, I was like, this is the dumbest thing I've ever heard of. I was like, and I mean, I don't want to sound like, you know, the victim here, or, you know, make myself sound so sad, but, I think it's a little wrong to kind of abuse the fact that these people have so much student debt, and they're like, it'd be funny. Let's make a game show about it because
it'd be like, oh, you can't make your rent this month.
Let's make a game show about
you
you not
can
making
answer
your
5
rent.
questions right. We will give you your rent.
Exactly.
Like,
that's kind of the same situation because you have to pay for it. So I was like, is this really what people think we need to do to shed some light on how ridiculous student debt is getting and how we can kind of like fight it?
And
but
how it says $37,000 is the average debt? My mom took out a $5,000 loan and finished paying it off 15 years later.
Oh God, that is a long time.
Interest.
That is a long time to have to deal with that.
And it's not like she was like putting pennies at a time too.
Right.
She would put like $200 towards it.
Yeah, because it stacks up, and that's a lot of people underestimate that. I mean, I know some people who they have probably like triple what is listed right here for their student debt.
They're never going to pay it all.
Right. I mean, you're going to die with it pretty much.
You're going
to die with debt. But I was like, having a game show based around student debt, it seems kind of like it just doesn't look good. It just kind of looks bad. Like, is this really the best thing that we can come up with? And I feel like it almost seems like a ploy to kind of just like profit on these unfortunate debts of graduates and all that.
Yeah,
but
I mean, I'm not going to say no if I get invited to it.
Oh well, of course not. But I mean, if they want to pay your student debt off, I mean, don't say no. But think about all those other people. Think about those other 45 million people who would be like, oh yeah, I'll go on there and get my student debt paid off. So I was like, and I was thinking about it like a game show because it is a game show. Most game shows, only the winner kind of gets the big prize, right? So it's like you're fighting for your life on the stage with like 2 other people, and you're trying as hard as you can to win so you get your student debt paid off. And I'm like, that just seems cruel. It seems like a cruel joke.
Yeah,
honestly.
imagine going through all the time setting up, sending in forms. I'm guessing there's an application process where you have to try out because you can't have some lame up there, like some not funny person.
Like you have somebody up there. Like I imagine it's kind of like other game shows where they have. Categories, because I mean, that's what are they going to do? Pull graduates from only like one major? Because I'm sure, I went to school for computer science philosophy. If they try to throw a question about, I don't know, like history or something up there,
you're done.
I'm done for. I'm gone. I can kiss my debt.
So imagine going through this whole process, taking time out of your life to fly out to where the game show is being hosted, and then losing.
Yeah.
What kind of crippling thing? Like, how would you feel?
Yeah, it's like,
that?
And I mean, I would hope that the people that would put on the show would, at least pay to fly you out to come participate in the show.
Yeah.
But what I think is so funny about it, and I'm just going to say, not to give too much spoiler about where we're getting with all this, but it's not nearly as bad as it sounds. And this was my initial criticism when I heard about this show. So there is a shining light at the end of the tunnel when it comes to this story. But I was like, it just seems so unfortunate that a TV station or a news or a network or whatever is going to be showing this show, and obviously they're going to be profiting off of it because they're it's a TV show. They're going to be profiting off of it from ads and all that.
And this is my first time hearing about it. I mean, like I've seen like commercials for it.
Right.
But so I haven't even read the script. So Jonathan's a step ahead of me on this one. I don't really know what the shining light of the tunnel either is.
This was me ambushing you with thoughts about college.
Yes.
That was my plan.
He's breaking me down.
You're a growing young man. You need to be ready.
Ew, Jonathan, don't say that.
Well, you just turned 18, man. You're still a baby.
Ugh. Throw up. You can put it on YouTube. We'll get hits.
What? You throwing up?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, a lot of people probably throw up when they see that college debt when they graduate, because you're walking out of graduation, you got your cap and gown on, you got that.
When they hand you.
Well, in my situation, you got that empty diploma cover in your hand because they mail you the diploma.
Yes, they do.
Like 3 months later, and you're like, okay, great, life can finally begin, and then you get that. Hey, by the way, you owe us about $37,000.
Yeah.
And you're like, uh-oh.
You can pay it up. You can pay it off in increments of the time, but you'll eventually get it.
But just remember that you're going to be paying about double in interest.
Your kids might be paying it.
Your kids will pay for it.
Yeah.
But I got to say that after I did a lot more research on the show, because initially I saw the commercial for it, I saw a few articles about it, and I was like, man, this seems like just such a corny, sad situation. But my mind was quickly changed after we started doing some research on this topic, and I'm going to say now, if you're already on the boat that I was in, where you're like, man, this game show sucks, let's boycott the network that it's on and everything.
Oh, God.
Let me say, there's a good reason to withdraw that criticism, because this show actually is fantastic and does a great job at what it does.
Okay.
And I never thought that I would say that when I first heard about this show. And I think it's actually going to do a lot of good. I think we should go ahead and take a break, and we'll talk about it a little bit more when we come back.
Yes, we will.
So we're going to take a commercial break. We'll be back here in a few minutes. We'll talk about Paid Off a little bit more.
See it.
back to Misunderstanding Millennials.
Hey.
Wow, that sounds so enthusiastic about it. Anyway, so we're talking about this show, this new game show, Paid Off, that's looking to solve the student debt crisis.
Okay.
You know, we talked about our criticism with it. You know, we were like, this seems kind of sketchy because we're like, why are we having to resort to a game show to solve student debt? Well, I want to give you a little bit of information about the show Paid Off so we can go through this and I can tell you why it's not as bad as it sounds. So, to begin with, the show is hosted by Michael Torpey, and if you don't know who that is he's an actor, comedian, and I'm sure he has a couple other titles, mainly known from Orange is the New Black, and you know, he's the one who is the host of the show, and turns out he's also the one that pitched the show, but we'll get into that a little later. But like I said before, I felt just like overwhelming debt isn't something to really make light of, especially people who really just graduated from college. Mm-hmm. But funny enough, he actually understands the situation in that these graduates are in. And I was like, I figured that it would just be kind of like some guy who is a pretty face that doesn't really have any real connection to student debt and knows like the real trials that one has to go through facing student debt. Mm-hmm. But he actually said himself in an interview that that it is actually a show that shouldn't exist. Mm-hmm. The host, the man that pitched the show, the man that hosts the show, will fully outright say that it is a show that should not exist. And I was like, that's kind of
cool.
That's kind of weird, but it is kind of interesting.
It's a little ironic.
It is very ironic because he pitches it, he hosts it, but he doesn't think that it should be a show that exists.
Just like how I feel about this show.
and when people see this as the best avenue for paying off their debt, it's crazy, which is what we said. If we got to resort to a game show to pay off debt, mm-hmm. it's a bit ridiculous. Yeah. But he understands that, and he's right there with us. So it's kind of like, how does this make sense with this Michael Torpey? He jokes in a teaser for the first episode about paying off his wife's college debt. He actually did a underwear commercial. Because he is an actor. He did an underwear commercial as an wit to pay off his wife's student debt, which of course is not an opportunity that many people would get. Yeah. I can't say that I would be in an underwear commercial.
I'll be in an underwear commercial.
You think you could handle the pressure of being in an underwear commercial?
No.
To pay off student debt? I mean, if that's what you got to do, man. But another thing he said was, we're playing in a weird space of dark comedy, which I like. I like dark comedy. Mm-hmm. I like dark jokes and all that. But as a comedian, I think a common approach to a serious topic is to try and laugh at it first. And he's right. Because, think about it. Our first reaction was, oh, what's the best way to pay off student debt? A game show. I mean, that's honestly laughable. At least it was when I read it. I got a good chuckle out of it. I was like, I think this is a little ridiculous. But, I mean, he understands how crazy it sounds. And I really respect that. But another quote, I want to be very respectful of the folks who come on our show, who open their hearts and shared their struggles with us. And I hope this show destigmatizes debt. I mean, there are 45 million borrowers out there. It's a huge number of people. Mm-hmm. So, again, we saw this as sort of opportunity to make fun of and, make light of student debt and people owing money and having to, fork out so much money every, week or however often, mm-hmm. to try and pay this off in a timely manner. But it's funny because I'm not the only one that went into this with a lot of criticism, because I thought that maybe I was the only one when I read this, and I was like, did I jump the gun here and think, this was horrible before everybody else, everybody else is like, oh, this is a great idea, and I jumped in, after reading about it. But Pace Magazine published an article titled, "The Student Loan Game Show Paid Off is a Cruel Joke." And a quote from this article is, "It treats student loan debt as the theme of a party than a public crisis that exists for identifiable reasons." Mm-hmm. And which basically sounds like kind of what I was getting at before I sort of looked into the show and got some more information on it. Well, this is the best part. I respect them for this so much. True TV actually fired back at him for that article. And they defended the show by saying that the original intention was to show that student loan debt is a ridiculous crisis through, maybe a not so common form, through like a comedic game show like this. Leslie Goldman, the network's senior vice president of development and original programming, said that the best way to address the issue is with a ridiculous game show. And I mean, I'm not gonna lie, like It's true, really, because I mean, it made me think about it, and it made me talk about it, and it made me do all this research, and then talk to you about it. So I mean, it worked.
I guess it did.
It really worked.
It's not like I'm gonna go home and be like, oh, student debt. I'm not gonna think about it too much.
Right.
I mean, like, I don't know. Maybe if the show becomes more and more popular, and there's like more and more coverage on it,
right,
maybe it will get bigger.
But it's not just a thing about let's all have our sad sob story, like I said, where Torpy goes on the show and has everybody sort of open up and talk about their student debt and their struggles and everything. It's not about crying over the debt. It's actually about taking action and addressing the problems and encouraging viewers to call their representatives in government. And that, I was like, wow. That is actually incredible because, not many game shows sort of take a stand like that, especially talking about a serious topic like this.
Yeah, you don't see like, oh God, what's it called? Wheel of Fortune being like, call your local representatives if you don't agree with this statement. Like, if you if he shouldn't buy a vowel. Like,
right.
So.
But yeah, so they're actually sort of using this game show as, I guess, sort of, it's almost like you initially look at it, it's controversial. You dig into it and you realize, hey, it's maybe not that so bad, but it's still a game show. And then you see that the show's host and everybody in the network are sort of pushing for this change and helping understand student debt a little bit better. I have a few more quotes from Michael Torpy. He said, "We try to highlight all the different groups we think are complicit. We yell at Congress, we yell at the predatory loan groups, and we yell at the universities themselves." And they actually go on this game show and basically like point fingers and like call out Congress and universities for
really
for like their student loan and the way they handle like loans and debts and everything. And I'm just like, well, that's pretty commendable, for a game show. But and I was thinking, I'm trying to go into this with sort of a I guess sort of a Debbie Downer kind of look on it, because I was still like, I was kind of like, okay, maybe this isn't as bad as I think it is. So maybe you're asking, oh, well, maybe he's just putting up a front on TV on his show, so that he can make it seem like he's all for the crushing student debt. But he's not only that, he's taken to social media and everything addressing the problems. He's actually been linking articles and tips and advice to those that do have student debt, and they are, pushing this, their idea of how they can solve student debt and everything like that. But I think that's a pretty commendable thing for Michael Torpy to do as the man who pitched the show and hosts it, and for True TV for kind of picking it up, because I think it's pretty crazy. I mean,
that is pretty crazy.
I mean, how do you feel about that? Do you think?
The thing about student debt is, when I first was starting to look into college, I was like, student debt's just student debt. Everybody has it. I'm just going to get student debt like everybody else and be able to live my life. And then my mom started talking to me about it, and she was like, yeah, I took this loan out. I'm still paying it back to this day. If you can get through college without student debt, you need to do it. And I started looking it up and seeing all these people whose like student debt has been like shredding their bank accounts. And I just like, it's really not worth it. And like, since college is so expensive, like, and student debt was a real thing for me for a little bit, because our county, Guilford County, got the Say Yes grant, and the Say Yes grant allowed every student to go to college for free.
Right.
And then they took it away after 1 year. So like, we all had to start thinking about how we were going to pay for college again.
Right.
So
and
it's crazy.
A thing to think about is, not everybody is able to sort of, go through college with scholarships. It takes a lot of work, and I mean,
scholarships are hard to get.
Yeah, scholarships are very hard to get. You might be able to pick up like a a couple $100 scholarship here or there. I mean, it really depends on how much effort you put into it.
Yeah.
But not everybody's eligible. I'll go ahead and say that I got really lucky with one of the scholarships that I got, because it was targeted directly towards rural counties in North Carolina, one of which I live in.
Yeah.
So, and if you don't live in one of those counties like that, you are ineligible to be able to get that scholarship.
Yeah.
And that really helped me throughout school, and that was pretty much one of the ways that I was able to get through school and pay for it, and still feel like I'm not crippling financially, I guess.
Crippling financially, mentally.
Right, because I mean, it's not just about your bank account. That's a stressful thing to think about, that much money going out of your account.
32,000, or is it 32, 37?
37,000 is a recent number.
Yeah.
But and again, we're talking about tuition, books, housing if you're going to go for it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you know, clearly if you're living on campus, you got to eat. There's so many
meal
many
plans, parking
meal
passes
plans.
are,
You know how
are expensive too.
You know, that's an important thing to talk about. You know, you look at some of the different things that you have added into these tuition costs and everything. You know, I believe I had to pay like $500 for a I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was basically giving me access to university facilities for like sports and like recreation centers and stuff like that. I'm paying $500, like I think it was like $500 a semester or a year for that.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, I mean, you might not even touch that once, but you know, again, parking is a great point because you know some parking passes, you know, some of them are ridiculously expensive. You might have to, you know, you might be on the outskirts. Some you might be paying to get that primo parking space, but it's ridiculous how many costs for things you have to pay. Like another one I can think of is insurance. If you have your own insurance, you know, cool, you can use that while you're at school. Like that's not a problem. But if you don't actually actively tell them that you have insurance, they will also tack that onto your costs too.
Mm-hmm.
So you're paying for insurance basically twice if you don't think to call them out on it and say, you know, hey, I've already got it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, I think it's just it's definitely a crazy world we live in. That we're now talking about a game show that pays off student debt that actually kind of has this good message and methodology in which it's doing it. So I think we should probably go ahead and take a break. We have a email that just came in. I didn't want to ruin our momentum here as we were talking about this.
Yeah.
So we had an email come in a few minutes ago that simply says, "Hey, would you shave your beard?" No. No.
Yeah.
No.
Not gonna happen.
No.
It'll look like an egg, like a cue ball.
I mean, look,
Like,
man,
like
I don't.
the, like the tip
I
of
already,
a Q-tip.
I already don't have much to work with, so please don't make me shave it.
Tip of a Q-tip.
I just saw another email coming in saying, are y'all on the show? Yes, we are live tonight. I'm sorry I didn't get to your email that quick, but I just wanted to kind of go through our points. We were kind of on a roll there.
Yeah,
but,
we're live right now.
Yeah, we are. But if you're watching this right now on Thursday, what is today? The 2nd of August.
Yes.
We are in fact live. I know we've been
live
putting up a
right
lot
now.
of pre-recorded shows, but we are here and we're ready to take some emails and some calls.
But
probably
first,
after this break,
we're going to take a break. So we'll be back. It's me, Chance, and Jonathan, your favorite. See ya. Bye. We'll be back in a little bit.
Misunderstanding Millennials. That was a good shot.
Thank you.
So we're back. We're talking about student debt. We're talking about Paid Off, the game show to handle all of student debt's problems. Michael Torpy from, whoa, we have a mic situation going on right here.
My mic just fell. Just want you guys to know that.
His mic just fell. You probably couldn't hear him because his mic's not on.
Get a little intimate.
But, so we're talking about student debt, and Michael Torpy here. Doing a really good thing that we originally thought was a terrible thing.
Okay.
With student debt. They're paying off people's student debt. And anyway, I don't actually think I went into the specifics of how the show actually worked. I'm surprised I didn't write it down. But, so, I said earlier about how they were making it to where, most game shows, only the winner kind of wins the big prize or whatever. Mm. Well, that's not how Paid Off works. I originally thought that's how it's going to work. But they actually, if you answer questions and get them right, they follow through and will pay your student debt if you're answering questions. So, yeah, you might be in third place and didn't answer all the questions correctly, but they will, they will see through that you get your money paid to you to help put on your student debt for the questions you do answer. Because I was like, I would feel really bad if I was like, I'm thinking about it in like, Jeopardy terms, like, you and the last guy are neck and neck, and you're like maybe $100 down or whatever, and you lose by like the slightest bit. You imagine how terrible that feels. But that doesn't happen with Paid Off. Yes,
yep.
Exactly.
That's it.
So this doesn't happen with Paid Off. Anybody who answers a question correctly, I've seen that, or so I've read that they pay it off, and they honor it, and I think that's pretty good.
That's pretty sick.
That's pretty good. We have the numbers up on the screen now.
You can give us a call.
Give us a call. Talk about. I'm actually curious to hear from people tonight that have student debt. If you have student debt, I would like to hear from you and hear your thoughts about how much student debt you have. Oh, is that is that a rude question to ask?
If you want to tell us,
if you want to tell us about how much student debt you have, talk about how student debt has affected your life. Whatever information you're comfortable with sharing, I guess.
Feel free to call up.
We would love to talk about it. As someone that has just recently graduated college and someone who's just recently going into it, I think this is an interesting topic, especially to see the generation gap. But while we're waiting for that to happen, we did have another email come in right during the break. Would Chance shave his hair? Did we discuss that? Did we talk about that?
No, we did not. I don't think so.
Oh.
We look like two cue balls sitting up here like a carton of eggs.
No, I don't think Chance should shave his hair.
Two white peas in a pod.
We have like an imbalance of hair on the set here.
I would have to start wearing hats, looking like a nerd.
Looking like me.
Looking like Jonathan.
Yeah.
I don't want to do that.
You don't want to do that. Nobody
you don't want to see that.
I don't even want to do that.
Yep.
So, there you go.
But we have a caller.
Okay.
So we're going to take this call. Hey, caller, you're on there.
Hello, my name is Ian Young. I'm a resident of Martinsville. And
okay.
I had just only recently heard about your show, and I thought I'd tune in tonight and check you guys out.
Okay.
And I think it's a pretty interesting topic that you guys are bringing up with this game show Paid Off, and how it's sort of addressing what a lot of people consider kind of a sensitive issue in the sense that, there are a lot of people that are suffering under it. We've got a bunch of students out there with student debt, and of particular interest to me is the point that you guys brought up about how initially there are a lot of people out there, at least a few individuals out there, that were making some noise saying, hey, this is a very serious issue. A lot of people are under this tremendous burden. They're having to suffer with this, sometimes for years at a time. They spend the rest of their lives trying to pay this stuff off. And is it really appropriate for you guys to be addressing this topic with this format? Is it showing due respect to the people that are suffering, etc.? And I think it was Jonathan who brought up the point that it was kind of interesting because it actually, because it was, that potential for controversy was there, it actually got people talking about it. It even induced you guys to do a little bit of backup research. And it turns out that what you discovered was there's a lot of positives about it, that this show is potentially, I don't know much about it other than what you guys are presenting, but it sounds like once you do a little digging, it's potentially addressing some pertinent issues in some very practical ways.
Yeah,
right.
And I think that's a good thing. Would you guys say that sometimes controversy is the way to spark interest in some respects to try to get practical get people talking about how to actually solve problems in a practical way in today's society.
Oh yeah, like what you just said, it gets people talking. Without controversy, there's no reason people would even be discussing it.
Yeah, I think what's so interesting about this game show is the fact that it sort of started out as, we saw these articles that were talking about how, they were making light of student debt. A lot of people are dealing with student debt when they get out of college. And, it seemed like a ploy for, the network to kind of just make this game show and, sort of use student debt as, the topic of the day to sort of, have a show made about it. But I think it's really respectable, I think it is a sensitive topic, and I think the fact that the host and the network themselves agree that it shouldn't be a game show and that they understand that it's like a really silly and sort of unorthodox concept, that, that's sort of what draws attention to it. And people see that and they think, is that really the answer to student debt? And they themselves say, no, it's not, but here it is, and it's the method that has sort of shown light to it. So I think they do it in probably one of the most tasteful ways, because they could, easily not give the money to all the contestants, or it could be any situation really, but they really, they follow through. They give tips on how to handle student debt. They talk about, Torpy talks on social media about, student debt relief and all that. And, ultimately they're paying for people's student debt through a game show. It's a really unorthodox method, but at least they're honoring people who, do come in and share their story and, I guess, successfully answer trivia questions and stuff like that.
Right. And you're, I'm sorry, I can't see y'all's faces. I'm trying to just speak into my phone so that we don't have to deal with lag or anything.
Mm-hmm.
But, so I can't always tell who's speaking. But I know some of the points that, you guys were making was, some of the results of this have been that I guess you were saying that the people that are involved with the show have been involved with basically calling out universities and they'll point fingers at certain loan practices and they'll try to call individuals out about some of their unfair practices. Is that the case?
Yeah, Michael Torpy. Now, I'm sorry. I thought that was a question.
Sorry, yeah. Well, I was just asking if that was the case, because it's, there are a lot of people out there these days that would say that kind of going that route is not the answer. But what I'm hearing from you guys, and what I tend to agree with actually, is avoiding, just going way out of the way to avoid offending everybody is a really great way of just never addressing an issue at all. And it seems like, the only people that are really going to be missing out on possibly finding, bringing positive attention to this this problem are the people that are going to see information, take immediate offense at it, balk at the format, and then never do any follow-up investigation to actually involve themselves in the discussion in a real healthy way. Would you say that's probably the case?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I totally agree with you. I feel like this sort of like initial, I'm trying to make sure I'm following everything we got in order, but I feel like that initial offense, so we had the article from Paste, they initially were like, oh, this is terrible. They're sort of, shining so much light on, like a negative light on student debt and kind of poking fun at it. And then you have True TV kind of stepping in and, defending themselves. But a lot of people will actually,
read the Paste article and then
not
a lot
of people who like say,
research.
If they're like a loyal Paste follower, and then, they might read the article and then never hear anything about it again, and they might think this game show is terrible. But that's the fun thing about it.
But then now would you say that would be the responsibility of the person who basically just looks at the information in a superficial way, gets offended, and then fails to do the fact checking so that they can actually try to be a part of that conversation? Because I would say that that's one of the big issues that we really have. These days, there are so many issues that people just refuse to talk about, and I don't know if you guys are aware of it, but immediately after you guys, there was a show called What Does the Bible Say? Have y'all heard about that?
Yeah. Well, yeah, they sit right across from us, so yeah.
Right, so now that's a show that actually, a lot of people take issue with because of the way certain things are presented, and I've heard some people call into their show, and they'll basically say, I didn't appreciate that information. What you said was poking light at the situation, or it wasn't showing due compassion to individuals, and it wasn't respectful enough. But at the same time, it does get people talking. which is what we're agreeing, we've been agreeing is what this game show so far has done. If individuals are willing to actually not just rest in their offense, but do the research.
I agree to a sense. I feel like ultimately the sort of like going back to the Paste article and talking about the game show, I really feel like it's kind of like the. I feel like it's very situational, and it very much depends on the context. But we have a situation where an article sort of misrepresents a topic. The host or the sort of the source of that said topic kind of steps in and says, hey, you're kind of misrepresenting what's going on here. I feel like it would really be, and I mean, I can't say whether or not the article had been edited or changed since then, but I think that, in a situation like we were talking about with Paid
It's like the media is spreading a false,
right?
They're like the media is not even doing its research.
Yeah, and like I think it would be great for like Paste if they had this, if they speak to the representatives from True TV to sort of correct themselves and show that it's really not what they make it out to be. But again, I think it's really situational in that kind of context. But
we have to go to a break. We'd like to thank you, caller, for calling up.
Yeah, thank you so much for calling. I appreciate it.
So
thank you for letting me take your time.
Yep.
Thank you so much.
So we're going to go take a break real quick. We'll be back for a short little segment after this. So
yes, we will.
See you then.
Misunderstanding Millennials. We have a few moments here talking about student debt, TV show, game show Paid Off on True TV. So if you got any thoughts about student debt or anything like that, feel free to shoot us an email. We got time for maybe a call for a second, but yeah. So I think I think what makes it so funny to me, this whole game show, is because it does sort of have that controversy to it because a lot, like I said, 45 million people borrow to pay for tuition and all that. So that's a lot of individuals that are having to deal with student debt and everything. And we talked about sort of this initial offense of seeing something like that, like talking about the Paste article. And that's 45 million people that you potentially sort of anger just like at an instant because it's making fun of student debt, or so you think it's making fun of student debt.
Yeah.
But
so like if you're gonna be posting stuff and saying stuff, you should probably do like a little research.
Right, and I mean, and I don't want to fault Paste for their initial article about it, which
because we both felt the same way.
Right,
when we heard
we
it.
felt the same way about this article. We thought that this paid off show was just another one of all darn media and television's ploy to their next
network.
Their next
They're coming for us next.
Their next victim is like people who are graduates that have student debt. But that's not the case, and I find that really I find it really heart. I forgot what side of my heart was on. Very heartwarming.
Is it on this side?
Yes, it's very heartwarming to see that they are actually following through and doing this. But actually, that's something that I'd like to do is go and check and see what has actually happened, because I don't know how many of you are reading news articles. Especially when it comes to a situation like this. They'll always end it with, we've reached out to a representative of so and so network to see if they have any comments on that. So I wonder if they've actually reached out to see if they had any sort of statements. Yeah, to see if they have any statements on it and see if they sort of corrected themselves for making that sort of, but I can't fault them for that article because I sort of had the same initial reaction when I heard about the game show. But I mean,
proves another mistake in the media. Yep.
I guess that's one way to put it.
We don't do that at Star News.
No. Do we? I don't know.
Every now and again.
But I think student debt. I'm going to say is this probably the best way to sort of tackle student debt?
I don't know.
Probably not.
Who knows?
Because think about how many people would be in line to go get on that game show.
A lot. 45 million.
45 million people would be in line to get on that game show.
Oh,
and
Mike fell again.
Obviously, would 45 million people make it on that game show? Probably not.
That'd be kind of funny.
We can at least commend them for the amount of work that they're doing trying to solve student debt.
Well, I think it's time for us to go.
It is time for us to go. The number changed, which means it's time to leave.
Time for us to bounce.
Yep.
We'll be back. We won't be back next Thursday.
Unfortunately, I'll be on vacation next week.
He's gone again, like a phantom.
I know. I'm sorry. We'll be back and consistent at some point.
Yes, we will. Maybe.
So until then.
Until then, I'm Chance Ramsdell.
I'm Jonathan Mills.
And we'll catch you on the flip side, brother.